Good morning, good beautiful Monday morning. I am your host of Kingdom Holistic Health Ministry. My name is Dr. David D. King, and I want to welcome each and every one of y'all to the show on today. And I'm praying that you guys are having a blessed day. I hope your weekend went wonderful. And I am excited to have my favorite doctors in the house with me on today. And I don't even know what they're going to do today. Y'all know how it is. I just sit back and let them have their way. So, with further ado, let's bring Dr. CHARISSE and Dr. J in the building. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you? How are we going to do this today? Because y'all in charge. Y'all know I'm just the one that learning. So I'm going to let you guys have y'all way today and what you guys want to talk about. But I do want to say this. A lot of people started talking about the 5G when you was talking last week on the 5G. So whichever way y'all want to go, but can y'all touch on some of that a little more this morning about the 5G and all of that good stuff?
Okay, do you want me to start, Dr. J? I'm Dr. Houston and a second generation chiropractor. My work is focusing on getting the neurology of your body to function to its highest levels so that your body can activate all the systems necessary for proper regeneration, restoration, and healing. One of those pillars is, in fact, about stress and about toxicity, how we think, and our nutrition and physical traumas. And relative to the 5Gs, that is something that has, I think Dr. J pointed out very eloquently last week, and his missus, the beautiful Kathleen. Basically, we're talking relative to the fact that it's waves. 5G is waves. They're electric, magnetic frequencies that interrupt our body's ability to function properly. It's a form of radiation. And as we've come to know, this hasn't been studied since the 1980s, maybe 1985. So it's something that we have to take a look at because we are being inundated all the time with towers, microwaves. Our cell phones are probably the biggest culprits. Computers, we've got 5G, we've got to be redundant, we have 7G coming, and there is no testing and they don't need to tell us. And we live in a country where we deserve to know everything before they start implementing so we can have a say in what they're doing, because it'll affect our health, our body's ability to function properly, because we are electric also, and it will interrupt those frequencies. So there are things that we can do to convert or to lessen the damage. It was said, once again, to turn off your Wi-Fi at night, because sleep is probably the most important thing in terms of building immunity. That's when your body does the most regeneration. And it's necessary for a plethora of things, because if you're not getting good sleep, your immune system, again, will start to tank. Other issues will start to develop. And so we kind of live in a toxic culture, if you will. I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with Dr. J in terms of, lessening the amount of exposure that we have by, cooking on the stove. And there's nothing wrong with defrosting your food the night before. I mean, those are really simple, basic things that can enhance and take away those frequencies. Also, the AO scan is something that can elevate your frequency. I know we'll get into that in more depth, but it'll help the cells to vibrate at a higher frequency, which is more congruent with healing. Better function.
Yeah, good stuff. Wow. I don't even know how to add to that. Hi, I'm Dr. J. I am a integrative medical doctor, PhD in humanitarian services. integrative medicine, holistic medicine, naturopathic medicine, and also have a nursing background. So, I've been in medicine for a long time. And like Dr. Houston just talked about, we're living in a different kind of world today. And there's a lot of things that are good, and there's a lot of things that aren't so good. But one of the things that we love is technology. And we're starting to embrace that even today. Look at the technology that we have the ability to come into your home and help educate you and answer questions you may have. We do this of our own free will. We do this, for you. So thanks for listening, and please ask questions. So part of the topic last week, and it is today, and it should be ongoing forever, is what's happening with this technology, right? We have something called 5G. What is that? Well, there were other G's before that. But, we're here to educate you. We're not here to tell you what to do, how to do it. We're here to educate. We don't want you to believe everything that's said to you, because as we know, Satan never comes to you cleverly disguised. Sometimes he's right out in the open. And, we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing it disguised, and we're also seeing evil right in our face. And sometimes we're told things that are not the truth. And if you tell a lie long, it becomes the truth. So I always ask you, as a human being, as a child of God, you know the one true God, you know the one true faith. And that's the most important thing. I'll hold that most in your heart, because that's what they want to try to take away from some of us. That being said, lies can be spent all over the place. When we talk about 5G, the lies are simply this: they don't tell you anything, and you should question everything.
100%.
Okay? You, I want you to understand, you listening right now, you are an experiment. You are not in control of what's happening with wireless or 5G or electromagnetic frequencies. You are not in control of anything. And so therefore, you're an innocent bystander, and you need to become educated on what's being sent at you, which I will call radiation. Everybody understands what radiation means. And that's exactly what 5G is. If anybody tells you different, they're lying, or they're not telling you the truth. Okay? So these millimeter waves, and that's what they are, millimeter waves, operate at something called 32 hertz. And that can be absorbed by us, but short-term exposure, we now know scientifically, has psychological, physiological effects on our entire nervous system, the immune system, the cardiovascular system. The research that's out there suggests that long-term exposure is going to put you at risk. And if it's hitting your skin all day long, it's melanoma. If it's the eyes, it's ocular melanoma. If it's the testicles, it's sterility. It goes on and on and on. And this has been talked about and proven in something called the International EMF Scientist Panel. They're the only people on planet Earth that are looking at this going, uh-oh, people should wake up. Okay, so that being said, we want to be on the show not only to educate you about the dangers that you may be up against, but what you can do to avoid it. And like you said, turn off your Wi-Fi. How difficult is it to turn off a switch or put your Wi-Fi on a timer? That's one answer. And we will give you more as we go through this. But what we'd like is questions from the audience. So the more questions you guys ask, the more relevant it becomes to you, and make sure that we're answering what your concerns are. But that's just to preface, what we're all up against. I personally use what's called EMF modulators. You can't block EMF. It's radiation. It goes right through concrete. It goes through lead. Okay. You can shield yourself and reduce the exposure, which will help. But what's better is technology that is out there for our favor, which modulates those frequencies. So like I said in the last show, everything in nature is kind of rounded, curved, smooth, jagged. Does not exist. Jagged doesn't exist. Maybe the mountains, but overall, all energy in nature is round, circular, flowing like rivers, like circles, like bends, like dunes. That's pretty much all of nature. When we get jagged, like an electromagnetic frequency, like a 5G frequency, it's very jagged. So when it hits you, your body goes, I have no idea what this is. And it causes all kinds of disruption. It's just like pool balls on a table. You just start knocking electrons all over the place. Who knows how that's going to come back together? And that's what we need to understand about 5G, is to try to visualize something we can't see and that there is a direct impact. So you can use things to modulate that. Good news is God gave us that. They're called elements. They're called minerals, right? There are things on planet Earth that can actually make radiation harmonious. Harmonious. So can we exist with this technology and not let it turn us into lab rats? Yeah, but you have to get the education out there, and you have to get the powers that be, like the telecommunications. They're as bad as big pharma and big farm. They really only care about one thing, money. They don't care about what it does to you. So as a consumer, yeah, we want to embrace technology, but you must understand the danger and then must understand what to do about it. So thanks for letting me get all that out there. Thank you.
Well, and to your point as well, that just using the microwave and the example you shared last time relative to the blood needing to be warm, and the microwave actually changes the molecular structure of your food, so the nutrition is different. Like you said last week about taking and putting the blood in the microwave, it coagulated and it's destructive. So we want to do things. We want to give you, our goal is not to necessarily bash microwaves, but just to make you aware, because awareness is often curative in many examples. I know I don't use a microwave, and I just can wholeheartedly share that it's, there's other ways to do things. So we just want to make things simple and easy for you to understand, because we've been led down this path for so long. We've believed certain dogma that has not even been based on the truth. It's been based on protocols and with special interest groups. So I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to put a plug out there right now. This week is very important, where you as the public, all of us, have an opportunity to write to our senators and ask them to confirm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I know Bobby personally, and he has the integrity, the experience. His background is awesome, and he wants to bring to light the things that are destroying our food and destroying our health. And we have an opportunity to really turn the tide here, and it's going to be a big job, but we have to make our voices heard. And his confirmation or lack thereof is Wednesday. He'll be questioned. So, and it is all of our responsibility for us to take our health as our number one priority. Health is wealth. And if you don't have it, you've got nothing. So I don't like to plug politically, but I do believe, as a godly steward, that some of you may not be aware, but you do have a voice, and you can go ahead and reach out to your senators and ask them to support him, because he will make the change, because he's got the plans and the savvy to do it, to make things safe.
I don't know if you can see this. It's on my phone. Is that something you guys can see?
Yep. If you leave it right there, we can see it.
Okay, so audience, take a look at this, and then I think on the right of your screen would be right here. My finger is.
Mm-hmm.
432 hertz, which is a healing frequency, and also considered the God frequency. That, look how harmonious that is, right? Let me get that back up. How harmonious that looks, right? Just beautiful geometry, I'm sorry. And then you look over here, and this is what 5G does to it.
Good example.
Very good.
This has actually been a scientific study. There are 250 scientists and doctors, medical doctors, who signed what's called the 5G appeal, right? Did you ever hear of that? Of course not. Calls for immediate cessation of the deployment of 5G, and that was set around the world, and it was all shut down. It asked every government on planet Earth to fund research to adopt what happens to us biologically based upon 5G, because we know that 432 hertz is a healing frequency. And listen to this. Okay, this is worth the price of admission. They looked at that and said, you're right. However, in 1953, we changed music from 432 hertz, the God frequency, to 440 hertz. So if you're a musician, you know what I'm talking about. That was a mistake. Because 440 hertz actually suppresses your consciousness. 432 hertz increases it. They know what they're doing. Okay. I'm sorry, but I'll go on this show and say, you need to be careful. They're trying to eliminate healing frequencies and God consciousness from all of us. And I'm going to fight that. It's a holy war, in my opinion. And so I'll go on record to say that. And this 5G disrupts your naturally occurring 432 hertz is what Mother Earth also resonates at. So we're supposed to be resonating at a different frequency than what's being played over the radio or what's coming at you from a cell phone or a TV or a radio or a computer. So we need to do something. And here's what they said. We're not trying to stop 5G. We want you to change the radiation. So they asked, these 250 doctors asked, can you change the 432 megahertz or hertz? Can it be transmitted by 5G? And their answer was yes. So the committee said, well, then why aren't you? And they got no response. Right there, I smell a rat.
Exactly.
They have the ability to transmit 432 hertz over 5G, which means we would all be getting healing frequencies every single day by answering the phone. Hi, how are you doing? Instead, they transmit a 440 hertz with radiation that when you answer the phone causes brain tumors.
Another good reason for having the proper leadership and exposing a lot of this, all of this corruption. It's been hidden deliberately. I'll go on record. It's been hidden deliberately. All those conspiracy theories are not theories.
No.
The good majority of them are absolute truth. And we've just been in the arena long enough to be able to smell a rat. And if there's smoke, there is fire. And I've been saying this for years, years.
Thank you for saying that, CHARISSE, because it's very important that people understand we're not alarmists. We're not conspiracy theorists. We're people who love Jesus. That's why we're on here. Okay? We don't get paid to do this. Dr. King, Dr. Houston, myself, we could be doing anything right now, but we want to talk to you. Why? Because you're part of the kingdom ministries. And that's what's important. David, you said it best. You can't be a kingdom with a democracy. You can't be a democracy with a kingdom.
Oh, so you saw my post, huh?
Oh, yes.
I read every one you send. You're my daily scripture, sir.
All right.
So anyway, we've known this since 1980, 85, actually. And when was the last study done? Back in 1985. Yeah. Done on cell phone radiation. So if you're on an airplane, right, you put your phone in airplane mode. Can't you do that while you're sleeping? Does it have to ring? Does it have to click? Does it have to beep to you at 2 a.m? No. Can you text versus putting the phone next to your head? Can you use speakerphone instead of putting it next to your head? Because the radiation, all the radiation we see is that it has to be within a millimeter of your head to cause tumors. So we have the phone attached to our head, or those earbuds are not helping you.
The earbuds are oh my, there's new literature coming out on the newer earbuds, how they can read your brain waves, and gosh, talk about control. Why would they want to read your brain waves?
I don't know. And then I have articles. I have all kinds of white papers. I'm a scientist, right? I do research. What does that mean? It means, I look for this stuff. I don't just get on a podcast and start going, hey, 5G is bad for you. I want to tell you what I read. The National Library of Medicine in 2007 said, the cranium is too thin for the amount of radiation that's being pumped into your brain. This was before 5G. This is 2007. And they said that causes a 400% increase in teens' brain cancer, because the brain is still developing while you're a teen. 400% increase in teen brain cancer using smartphones. Leukemia, 400% increase. The National Library of Medicine, 2007. Did anybody pay attention? No. We just made a bigger G. So we have got to get people on this call and every call, and anytime you talk to somebody, is to say you are being attacked by a hidden danger. and you need to basically modulate it. Okay? Thank you.
Well said. Well said. Well, and that's, again, another reason why we are bringing this information to you. You don't even need to trust us. We can cite the literature. You can do your own homework. But you got to be able to discern what's good research and what's not. For example, certain pharmaceutical companies do their own research, publish their own papers. That's like letting your kids grade their own report cards.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not a viable thing. And one of the things that I've always been a proponent for is safety studies. How safe are the injections that we're putting into our children? When I was a kid, there were maybe half a dozen. And what I found in my research is that a lot of these childhood diseases, if you will, actually were resolved, and they were self-limiting. And the biggest proponent was washing your hands and hygiene. I mean, who knew, right? And certain literature suggests that the vaccine for polio wasn't even around when it was already on the downward slope. But you can make those studies look any way you want to. I mean, if you're the one publishing the paper. So what we've been introduced to in our healthcare system is just a series of protocols with special interest. And I thank God that there are certain types of drugs that are necessary for emergency use, but it's been over, the boundaries have been crossed on so many levels, and the corruption is so bad. It just is unconscionable, and it's criminal. And I believe it's our responsibility, because we have the information now. Doctor means teacher. We have the responsibility of telling you, because at least then I can sleep at night, because I can say, well, I've told people and shown you, or can show you, where to look for the information to validate it. And it just doesn't make sense to me that your body would need aluminum, formaldehyde, aborted fetal tissue, animal kidneys, and inject that into your body in order for it to create a protective mechanism for disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want to say this because, I'm a sponge. And so I love being around my favorite doctors. And the thing that a lot of people has to, we got to be retrained. Okay. And we need to know things that we don't know about our body, how our body has the way God made it, has the ability to heal itself if we put the right stuff in it, right? And I think that we wasn't taught that our body can heal itself, because even when Adam and when Adam sinned against, I like to call it committing treasoning. When Adam committed treasoning against God, his body had to learn to die. It didn't just die. He had to learn to die, because it wasn't designed to die. He had to learn to die. So when your body had to learn to die, and all we was taught is death, now we got to teach our body how to learn to live, right? By putting the right stuff, like walking outside on the grass. Nobody ever told, walk on the grass, ground yourself back to the earth. And you'd be like, what? What are you talking about? Put some shoes on before you go outside, right? Dandelion is terrible. You need, it's messing up your yard. You need to clean up the dandelion, realizing that dandelion is good for almost everything, right? So we got to learn. We got to be retaught. We got to be detoxed from the information that we got, right? So our body can grow. And this is one of the reasons I love our shows on Mondays, is because we're starting to detox, not just myself, but a lot of more people, because of the fact they're getting the right information to detox, right?
Right.
And even with the AO scans, the AO scan tells you what your body is missing, right? I never went to a doctor in my life and the doctor could tell me what my body is missing. They waiting on me to tell them how my body is acting, like a mechanic, right? You go to a mechanic and you say, well, it's going put. Oh, well, it might be the exhaust or pop, pop. So now they changed the exhaust and it's still going pop, 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 pop because they only went off of what I said. But the AO scan tells your body what it really needs, what is missing, your frequency. Y'all go ahead. I'm going to be quiet right now because y'all got me pumped right now.
Well, it's kind of unsettling when you think about that. We've built a whole lifetime of protocols that we might be actually doing harm to us, and we think we're protecting our children. But more and more, the information is being brought to light, whether it's our food or if it's our technology. It has to be. And I'm like, okay, Lord, really? You're downloading this? And like Dr. J and I are both scientists. We both research. I'm always reading, and I believe, but I always verify. I have faith, but I verify. So if something doesn't sound right, you know what? I'm going to find 3 or 4 different sources that are going to tell me that these entities don't even know each other. But it is really something that we are in a time where the light is being shown. We have an opportunity to take and to learn more about our responsibility for taking better care of ourselves. And even as a woman, typically you're taught to take care of others before you take care of yourself. You know, your family comes first and all of this. But it's got to be equal opportunity for all, and everybody has to take care of their health. And it was amazing. I was looking at researching more of the 5G, the company that you were speaking of the other day, Dr. J, in Wisconsin. What is it? Hedron? Hedron. If you look on their website, they actually have the thermography or the scans of what it looks like when you hold your phone up to your ear, and the redness and the heat that is transmitted and the waves. It has to be waves that are transmitting that heat. And when waves are present, there's going to be an element of heat. And then after you use one of their mechanisms, one of their modulators, and they rescan, you can actually see the difference. And we just want to minimize. I mean, we're all going to die, okay, someday, but we want to live out God's will for our lives. And you can do that chasing after symptoms and waiting until your body falls apart, or you can, and we have not been taught that consciousness either. If you watch TV, it's like, ask your doctor for giardias, and they dancing and singing, and it looks all joyful. But what if you could prevent it in the first place? Type 2 diabetes. We have the opportunity to save so much money for our culture and save so much time and energy. We should be out bringing people to the Lord, not spending all this time being sick and trying to rebuild something that we've lost, because we know that we can help you do that today. Rebuild your body strong and then keep it that way and enjoy your life. Get out and live. Go out and have picnics and, dance in the rain. And, really a lot of people, we're living so beneath our abilities in our country. That's why I'm a big proponent of getting the right leadership. And that's why we are here sharing with you. I'm getting on a bandwagon this morning, but it's our responsibility. We love you guys. We want to help you, and we can.
Yeah, an AO scan, you'll see that. I get people where it'll show up that EMF is being harmful to you. And then we'll have a conversation, right? And I'll just say, tell me about your cell phone use, your computer use, things like that. And then sometimes it's not even that. Tell me what's outside your house. Oh, there's a cell phone tower about 10 feet away. Yeah, well, it's frying you. EMFs have now been equated to the same as cigarette smoking, according to Trent University. So actually, it's the new cigarette, right? So they said this, not me. Trent University, Dr. Hamas, who wrote this article, he said, giving a child a cell phone is like giving them a cigarette. I see, 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, in buses, trains, whatever, planes, and they got cell phones. And I just sit there and I shake my head. I'm like, that brain is still developing. The last thing it needs is radiation.
Exactly.
So, we're just trying to educate you. They went ahead and they put cell phone towers on school property without our knowledge. No one ever voted for that. No one gave consent. They did that when they had you locked up. You go back to 2020 and you fast forward to 2023. Look at pictures in 2019. You didn't have 1/10 of the cell phone towers that you have right now. So when they locked you up and they told you to mask up, sleeve up, shut up, and they put you in your basement, they went and stuck all these cell phone towers up overnight. Have you not noticed? That was without your vote. That was without your consent, because the government told you it was safe. And so what Dr. Houston is saying is, no, you got to look at the research like we're talking. That's why we're mentioning universities and studies. It's not just us telling you this. This is science that's coming out, and nobody wants to look at it because there's too much money there.
Right. It's real science.
Cell phone, right? Oh my gosh. It's like cutting off your arm. But yet your Alzheimer risk goes up 89% with a cell phone. Okay, you better protect it. Last week we talked about that. I got a little head drawn. It's right on my phone, right? It's just a little thing. It costs $25. Stick it on your phone. Boom. Now I can talk and not fry my brain. Best 25 if you don't get brain cancer. So you got to do things. If you need help with that, let us know, because the AO scan can pick that up. And if I see that, then I'm talking to you about these things. Hey, you got to get your Wi-Fi and a timer. You got to get off the electronics. You got to get some EMF modulators, or you're getting cooked. Schools, in my opinion, are like sitting in a low-level microwave. That's what's happening today. So we're out here to tell you. Now, what do you do about it? That's what we're here for. It's not just to talk and pick on 5G. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. But Dr. King said it best. Think about it. Every time you live your day, hopefully you're waking up and you're saying your prayers and you're giving God grace and gratitude, and then move on, right? And you've got a whole day planned. But that day better include, how do you keep yourself in tip-top shape?
Yes.
Right? How do you keep yourself in tip-top shape? So my argument is always live food or dead food. So let's not make it difficult. We're going to try to give you simple things like turn off your Wi-Fi. What'd that cost? Nothing. Can you eat more live food than you eat dead food? Yeah. If you want a live body, eat live food. You want a dead body, eat dead food. This is not rocket science. I dare you to eat at McDonald's every day for 6 months and tell me how you feel. It's all dead. There's stuff in there. I saw what was in a Chick-fil-A the other day. There was 50 different ingredients in a chicken sandwich. 50, including a pharmaceutical drug. Boy, got to have that chicken sandwich, don't you? No, go home and make your own. Trust me, you'll live longer. And then you better have something alive along with that, other than a dead chicken and a dead bun.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to know where your food source is for your chickens also, how they're being raised, what are they injecting in them, if anything.
It's crazy.
It is.
Even eggs, I saw last night, and I eat these pasteurized eggs. So I went and, I don't know if you ever heard of Bobby Approved app. If any of you have ever heard, it's called Bobby Approved. You can load the app, it's free. And when you're in the grocery store, you just scan the food item under Bobby Approved, and it will come up and tell you everything that's right with it and everything that's wrong with it. I highly recommend you get one on your phone. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, Approved. And you will start scanning things, and it's going to blow your mind. How do you think you find out how there's 50 different chemicals in a chicken sandwich? Bobby Approved. Very cool app. I highly recommend everyone listening to it. It doesn't cost anything, and it will change your world. But that being said, we can't sit here and pick on McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and scream at the cigarette industry and yell at the alcohol abuse when people decide to do it. Yeah. People decide to do it. And that's where you have to make a mental choice between you and God and say, is this what I want to do to my temple? Do I want to disgrace my temple by putting all these poisons and chemicals and toxins? It's one thing if you don't know. It's another thing when you do know the difference. So try to think, how can I get more live food into my body versus dead food? Ask yourself how much you ate today. Was it alive or dead? How much of it was cooked? How much of it was microwaved? How much of it was boiled, baked, fried, came out of a can, came out of a box, came out of a bag? And how much of it did you have to grow in the garden? how much of it had live energy? It was literally living before you ate it. And it's going to blow your mind if you start paying attention. And you're going to understand, if you want to be God's grace, you have to bring live food into it. Jesus ate live food. Okay? He's the master healer. You want to learn about a diet? Look at what he ate. That's what I would focus on. And even today, we say the Mediterranean diet is the best diet on planet Earth over and over and over and over again. In other words, what would Jesus eat? It's pretty simple. Live food, folks. Live food does wonders. Thank you.
And every time I adjust someone as a chiropractor, I know people think that it's about back and neck pain, but it's about entire body function. The first thing that was created for you when you were conceived was your brain and spinal cord. And most people will think that we're spine doctors, but actually we are nervous system doctors. That's how we were originated. The first chiropractic patient had his hearing restored after an adjustment. I wish I could say it's a treatment to heal all deafness. I would not say it's a treatment for anything, but it is the mechanism that I was raised with, and I know to be true to get your body to function with all of those nerves connecting you to your organs. The brain is telling your body what to do all the time. And if there's interference in those pathways, the organs will start to break down. And the causes for the interference are chemical, physical, and emotional stress. So it goes right in harmony with what we're talking about here. Eating right, taking time to meditate and pray, and minimizing trauma, physical trauma. Those are things that can all help. But basically, when I lay hands on somebody, which I absolutely love to do, because I'll say a prayer over them as I'm working on them, and then I ask God to help me to be the best vessel possible to remove the interference between the brain and the body so that the temple can work the way it should by design. And after an adjustment, within a few minutes, within a few seconds, your brain recalibrates itself, both hemispheres of the brain. And I'm doing this post-grad research right now on pediatrics, ADD and ADHD, and it just really harmonizes with what Dr. J and I are expressing to share with you. And some of the things that we've learned in school, at least in chiropractic school, I've had to, with the awareness of the newer challenges that we face, we've had to unlearn some things and restructure how we're actually delivering adjustments and how we're going to be able to educate the public so that we can have the highest level of success humanly possible. So it's an amazing journey, and one that I embrace wholeheartedly. I'm always fascinated by the miracles that I've been able to and blessed to be participating with. I know, Dr. J, you've had several, and it's either I had a sign in my office that said expect miracles. Well, either they're all miracles or they're not. But getting your body in a healing state is a form of a miracle. In some way, things are they have to improve. It's really law and order, and your body is designed and governed by laws, and it works in order. So we want to learn what they are so we can work in harmony with them and achieve the highest level of results, which is healing.
I just want y'all to know, I don't just talk it, I walk it. I got the Bobby Approved app.
All right.
Have fun with that, okay? Go to your pantry, see what happens. You'll call half of my stuff's in the garbage.
Right?
You're going to make me throw stuff away.
Yeah, it gets a little scary.
Right.
Don't let it overwhelm you. Think of it as education, folks, because the more you know, I mean, that's how we just finally, after 35 years, I've been screaming up this telephone pole, is red dye number 3, which is known to cause attention deficit disorder, not suspected, known. They finally banned it. And then did you see what they put on the ban? They're giving the food manufacturers 4 years to remove it. And yet 7 companies, including big food companies, came along and said, We're not going to wait 4 years. We're going to remove it today. So why did they give them a 4-year extension when 7 of the biggest candy companies, cereal companies were able to remove it in 1 day? That tells you about the corruption in government right there. They should have said it's banned immediately, not 4 years to take. When we already know it causes a disease.
Right.
That's what makes me mad. Okay, and that's what we want to
remember during COVID.
Okay, and RFK Jr., he's one of those that exposed that. He's part of the reason why they banned it so quickly. But I tell you what, I think if this is not political, but if there wasn't a change, it would still be there, and I'd still be yelling about it.
Change.
Disease. Dies, you die.
Well, Gatorade. Gatorade, excuse me for interrupting. Gatorade has got all kinds of dye in it, and they sell it as a.
Don't eat Skittles. Okay, we can
Not either.
Stop. Yeah, I want to get back to these cell phones. This is an interesting statistic. In 1985, there were 900 cell towers in the United States. Guess how many there are today?
About 30,000.
Just under 600,000.
600,000.
From 900 to 600,000. So what does that tell you, right? And then this is interesting, that a phone, 100% of the phone cannot hurt you if it's 1 foot away from you. That's good. But if it's 2 feet away from you, 3 feet away from you, it's even better. But inside that 1 foot, that's when everything goes like this, right? So again, I'm going to say this, maybe, use text, maybe use speakerphone more often, and just be courteous with people and say, by the way, I have you on speakerphone, just so you know. But I do that with my phone. I don't even talk on it anymore. If I'm in the car, I use speakerphone because I just don't want that thing next to my head. As she said, there's actual studies showing you this, and it's got to stop. But, think about it. They want your refrigerator to be smart. My stove wants to talk to me. This is ridiculous. Washer, the dryer. This is nuts. If your whole house is AI, you are going to be constantly bombarded by radiation, right? Those appliances, they're everywhere. You can't block it. You can't block it. But what you can do is change it to a natural frequency. And so if you need help with that, let us know. Hedron is one company. We've got lots of ideas. But the AO scan picks that up. And when it picks it up, we're going to be in your face saying, you got to change this because it's harming you. It is definitely showing up in your scan. It's a harm. And if you have information that something's harming you and you change it, you don't end up with the disease. May you never know the disease you prevent. Let that be our motto here at Kingdom Ministries. May you never know the disease you prevent. What's that worth if you don't have a bypass or cancer or diabetes? What's that worth?
Yes.
And that's really what we're here for. Is there any questions that have come up about this, David?
No questions yet came up. Some good comments, but no questions. Let's see. Rosie put one up. A comment.
It's just, you're so right, Rosie. It's really good marketing that these pharmaceutical companies have, because if I started, saying if you're not getting the shot, like in COVID, you're going to kill grandma. And there's no proof of any. I always like when people tell me even about childhood vaccines, I don't tell people to do it or not. I tell them to become informed, because you would never let your child eat certain mercury, and then they say there is none in there, but you can actually have an acceptable, allowable dosage without having to put it on a label. And some of these vaccine inserts, they're blank. But who reads the inserts? Nobody, the doctor doesn't give you the insert and say, here it is.
Okay.
Typically, 9 times out of 10.
You ever read the COVID one? Did you ever read the COVID one, CHARISSE?
It was 0. There was nothing on it in the beginning.
I had the one from Pfizer the day it came out. Said right in it, causes blood clots. And nobody said anything.
And the promotion of it is insane. Everywhere you go, free free vaccines here, get your pneumonia vaccine. I was talking to some nurse practitioner the other day. It said we've got the highest amount of pneumonia in the country now, more than ever any other season. And you were talking last week about the cold and flu season. Well, it's the sugar season if you really break it down, but a cold is the way the body is trying to eliminate toxins. But if we constantly are trying to stop the body from doing what it knows to do because of lack of understanding, and then we just believe because everywhere we look, we're being programmed. It's on the sides of buses. Have you vaccinated your kids from blah, blah, blah? Dr. J's even written books on some of this. The HPV, was it HPV? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things we got to have a kingdom campaign on putting out there. What you eat will hurt you. We need to let them know what you're eating will hurt you. What you don't know will kill you, but what you're eating will hurt you. And I think that'll make people slow down and think about the Skittles, about the Gatorade. I love my Gatorade after basketball, but the Gatorade. I see that mama look, Dr. CHARISSE. But those, I think we gotta have these kind of campaigns where people will know. Catherine was saying on last week about women who want to get pregnant or are pregnant. They need to know how to keep their body healthy, doing those kind of process.
It's actually a health issue. It's not a fertility issue. It's a health issue, getting the body to work to its highest level because we were created to have babies. But again, like you were just saying, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's plastic in our water. There's all kinds of things that are messing with hormones today for men and women. But it's like, the fertility industry is another one it's a big moneymaker. And a lot of people are conceiving that way. And then 9 times out of 10, they have to have a C-section, which if we were made to have C-sections, we would be like kangaroos and have a pouch. And I don't mean to be flip, but it's true. And then the baby was extracted in that fashion, not really born. There's a reason why we come through the birth canal. There's a reason why, and the pituitary gets stimulated and the whole, but we want what we want when we want it. And I understand about, the children and wanting to have children and all of that. But again, I've helped a lot of women get healthy so they could conceive. And I really think, again, we were being marketed to, the fertility issue or, the impotence or whatever it is. There's always a functional portion of that goes back to the nervous system and the function of the body. And, we can really help to mitigate a lot of these problems if we just understand more how the body works and how it heals and what we can do to support that.
Fantastic. There's a lot going on, and yesterday I went to the grocery store. I just had to pick up a few items, right? Sunday morning, grab some stuff, go back. And I noticed half of all the eggs were gone. And the only ones left behind, a dozen eggs was $8. And for a pack of 18 was $15.99. And I just stood there going, what just happened to the price of eggs overnight? So I did a little research, right? The government, back to their playbook, now they're sounding the alarm over what's called H5N1, which is avian flu pandemic. They're pushing for mask mandates, vaccines, public resistance will not stop them. So what they're doing is they're killing thousands and thousands and thousands of chickens without necessity to promote that there's an avian flu epidemic, even though there's not one, and you're going to be lied to. You're going to be televised propaganda again, and they're going to ask you to mask up, shut up, and sleeve up. Don't fall for that. Look, every single vaccine that is given to a child has never been studied for safety. The Supreme Court even admitted that. When RFK said, Fauci, not one child vaccine was ever studied for safety, he said, you're a liar, and took him to court. Fauci lost. RFK was vindicated, and Fauci had to admit that not one vaccination given to any of your children and grandchildren has ever been tested for safety. Not one. That should have been front page news on a billboard. We should all be talking about that right now. And the mainstream media would not tell you that happened. No. That's why RFK Jr. is where he is today, because he's calling a liar. And I don't want to pick on one person, but when one person who ends up on a cupcake, and I saw it at a bakery, and then gets on TV and says, I am the science, you must follow me, you better go the other way.
That's right. Yes.
Because we just found out he's a liar. And evil comes to you in that form. Okay, and it's happening again. And I want to press upon listeners, don't fall for that again. Look, exactly. I'm not anti-vax. Okay, I am a doctor. I think there's a time and a place for everything. But they need to clean this mess up, and they need to study every single vaccine for safety. I don't care if it takes 10 years.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm safety.
Your child is scheduled from everywhere from 57 to 75 vaccines by the time they're age 6.
See what I'm saying?
It's nuts. And none of those were studied for safety. So that's what I think of vaccines. And it's happening again. Now they're going to rush to market some vaccine for bird flu that none of us are having a problem with. And they're going to kill all your chickens and make eggs go through the ceiling just to control you. Yeah. We need to fight back, folks. Tell you what, start growing chickens in your own backyard. You'll thank me.
Amen. That's right. And we have a question. And when my son took our grandson to get vaccinated at age 5 that day, he became autistic. He's 11 now and hasn't spoken a word since that day. Is there any way to reverse autism? It's a very, very good question. And I have worked with children that have had reversal, that have had extreme autism. There's different levels, different layers. It's being willing to do everything that you need to do, because if you go and you just strictly do a medical route, they'll say it's bad luck, bad genes. But there is a way, and that's another reason to have the child scanned, an AO scan, if you possibly can, or have a surrogate, possibly if he's not speaking any words, you can have a surrogate also do the scanning, which is like having the mother or the father scan for the individual. And basically, there's heavy metal consequences as a result of those shots. And it's interesting that you were able to immediately determine that he got the autism immediately after the shots. It doesn't always happen that fast. Mm-hmm. And it's horrific. It's a tragedy. And yes, there is help and that's one of the things that I've been researching right now in reference to the pediatrics and even adults experiencing autism. Yeah. But do you want to add to that, Dr. J?
Well, I was just going to say, it's so hard not to pick on people or agencies, but, you got to call the kettle black when it's so obvious. When you look at something like the Food and Drug Administration, it's tough when they're working for the companies that they're trying to regulate.
Yes. Special interests.
Yeah, I want that to sink into everybody. How do you regulate a company that's paying you? Yeah. You're going to regulate in favor. Okay, now that being said, yeah, both of us have worked with children who are autistic or autistic tendency or autism spectral disorder or Asperger's or whatever you want to call it this week. There are different levels, yes, but it just depends upon how it affected their nervous system. But every mother I have ever worked with, and I've worked with hundreds, has said the same thing. I know my child changed after the vaccine. That's all anecdotal evidence. And I don't know how much anecdotal evidence it takes, how many millions of moms have to step up and say that before they will do the research. The Center of Disease Control admits there is no research on any autism vaccine link. Let me repeat that. The Center of Disease Control, the CDC, who's responsible for this, said they admitted there is no research on any autism vaccine link. And yet, what have we heard? Well, we tested all these vaccines. They don't cause autism. You were lied to. Mm-hmm. Because what the CDC is saying is we don't know because we never tested it. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll take that answer over it's safe, right? And that's what we have to know, is that the CDC has known for decades the dangers of what's called mutagenesis by using fetal cell lines. You know, there's human aborted fetal tissue inside a vaccine serum. That should go against all of your God-loving Christianity. That they are using chopped up babies in what's called fetal cell line development. And they chose to ignore what that would happen if you injected that into your body. That would generate immediate investigation, right? And that should be banned on vaccine production. That should never be allowed in there. If we're pro-life, why are we allowing things like that to be injected into our children? Other children being injected into our children. There, I said it. Ones that were aborted. If that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what does. Is that the cause for autism? No. But what I'm saying is we need to stop everything, not make more vaccines, stop production, go back and study all of them, including all the way back to MMR, all the way to polio. I want to go all the way back. What you're going to find out is the problem, not the antigen. And what I mean by that is when you start looking at what they put in serum, gloves, tissue, polysorbate 80, mercury, it goes on and on and on and on. And you wonder why your child changed. Now, can it be reversed? Yes, if you can get out what caused the problem. So you have to detoxify, and you have to do that appropriately. You have to change the microbiome. There's a lot of things that Dr. Houston and I can help you with. We're going to start with a scan, and we're going to start healing the body by giving it what it needs, herbs, and the right kind of energy, and the right kind of love, and the right kind of food, and the right kind of water, and the right kind of care, and let the body heal itself the way God intended. But you have to pull the thorn out of the lion's paw. That's the only way you can reverse this.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes. So much information, and we got a minute and a half.
There's just so much. It could be here all day.
It is.
We should do a docu-series.
I know, right? So, all right, ladies first. I'm gonna put you up. You know, you can do your thing. Do your thing.
My thing is I'm here to love and serve you with everything of my being to help you to achieve what your goals are for you and your family, whether it's in person and I get to lay hands on you and restore the body's function, because you want that nervous system, since it's regulating everything, to actually work to its highest level so it can receive all the nutrition, so it can receive all the information and the frequencies that we're talking about through the AO scan, and help you determine very specifically what the problems are. So Dr. Houston, get in touch with Dr. King through the Ministries, and would love to hear from you and help you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I know there's so much to talk about and so many things to say, and just thank you for the opportunity to talk with you today. But I do want to touch one more before we leave, because this is kind of new information. I didn't get it all out, so I'm going to quickly throw it out there. Is that if you've been concerned about what's called the mRNA vaccines, which are not vaccines, they're experimental drugs, okay? They shouldn't be called that. They don't meet the definition. You need to be more concerned about what's about to come. And so this may be the first that you're hearing it today. It's called SA-mRNA. SA-mRNA experimental injections. If you're concerned about the past, you ain't seen nothing yet. Okay? These new, they call them vaccines, they're not, are actually what we call replicon vaccines. And I've studied them. There's a lot of information in Japan that's coming out where they're already approved. And they said they want to start rolling them out this year. My advice, don't touch it with a 1,000,000-foot pole because it's worse than the mRNA. And we're finding out how horrible that is. Okay, that being said, we're here to help you. Okay, I deal with people every day that have been affected poorly by COVID and is still in their bodies. It's called long haul. There are variants going around, about 5 different variants right now that are causing problems and getting people congested for weeks. Please call us. I know how to get you out of there. Dr. Houston knows how to get you out of trouble. We can get you out of trouble quickly. You don't have to suffer. You need to call, not suffer. Because if you keep going back for the medicines and the vaccines, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay? You need to start taking action and responsibility for your own health. We're just here to help you and guide you. We're working for God. We're working for you. Please reach out to us. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. You know, we try to be, the caregivers that we can, working for Jesus. And I ask him every day to hear my prayers and give me faith and to be persistent every day because I need help too. Some days I wake up and I just want to cry my eyes out on what's going on this planet. It's not fair. But what can be done is we can all be a part of it. We can be a part of the solution by putting God in our heart and putting our health forward. Thank you. We're here for you.
Yes, so much, so much. You guys, I just want y'all to know that I thank God for these doctors who give their time every Monday to inform you that you can live better, you can have better. Well, your health is wealth. You cannot be talking about God is good laid up with all these tubes in your body and a DNR on your chart. So we need to make sure that we are healthy enough to go and change some things because a lot got to be changed. So much tainted information is out there. So much everything is going on. And now whoever called me, I just want you to know you're going to be on speakerphone because the doctors done did it to me. So you guys is going to be on speakerphone. So if you're going to say something crazy, I'm giving you heads up right now. Speak up on. But we thank you guys for being with us, and we'll be back next Monday. Dr. J won't be with us, but Dr. CHARISSE will, and next Monday, and then in 3 weeks, we will be having guests on the show that have already had their AO scan. Mine's is scheduled for Thursday. My wife had hers. We had a couple of other people. Got one on Wednesday, and the one already took theirs. So we're going to talk about what it done for us individually. So we thank y'all for being with us. Until next week, God bless.
God bless.
God bless.